back to another video. If you're new here, hi. Wow, so much has happened, but I wanted to basically show you all how I made this window seat. It was definitely a learning curve, learning as I went, and there was a lot of phone calls to my mum's ex-husband, who is a carpenter but lives quite far away, so he couldn't come and help. But yeah, I'm going to talk you through how I did it. There was a lot of times at the start where I was just basically sat down contemplating why I started the project. But I think it turned out okay, so hopefully you do too. Yeah, the reason that we did it, well, the reason that I decided to do it is because it was actually going to look, it looked like it was going to be harder to do the skirting in a curve. So we decided we'll build a bay window seat. Also, Mark has a lot of shoes, so we need storage and we didn't really have anything else. So at least now we have the storage under the window seat and somewhere to sit, I guess. Anyway, let's just show you how I did it. Let's try and remember how I did it. I bought some of those blocks of wood. I think it's like rough sawn, 47mm by 47mm, and you get them in packs of 5 at Wix. So you need the blocks, like them to be cubes, because you want it to be very sturdy. So yeah, it needs to be the same kind of width and thickness. I don't even know if that's the right thing to say, but basically they came in 2.4 meters long, which is a bit annoying because the space was slightly longer, so I actually had to put a filler, which you'll see later on. So yeah, you just try and make a frame, rectangular frame, for the main length of your window seat, and then kind of like build a kind of square or rectangular frame going back towards the back wall, basically. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, build it out, make it all secure. So you basically have like a cube in the middle, but yeah, an empty cube, but just a frame. So that's what I started with. Now the screw, I think I used the wrong screws, I'm not going to lie. I think I used external screws. Something important that I learned, because I kept splitting the wood at first, is you need to do a pilot hole. So get your drill bit on your drill, and drill the hole before you then drill the screw in. So that was a good learning tip from my ex-stepdad. And yeah, this is what it looks like when the angular frames were also added in. I had to do a mitre, so 45-degree angle on the ones that were slanted. So with the wood that I actually split, good tip is to put some wood glue in there to prevent it splitting any further. And also try to find screws that actually are the right length, because I did not. Just another tip. So basically, after getting the frame together, I think Mark's dad, he just came in and secured it all to the walls. So you want a masonry drill and a raw plug and a screw, and you want to basically drill a hole into the wall directly behind those wooden frames, and yeah, just screw them in basically so they're secure and they're not moving around when we build out the frame. Okay, so to build out the top actual seat, we cheated a little bit. I cheated. Went downstairs, and there used to be a window seat in the living room downstairs. So I took the top of it, and I had a big bit of MDF, and I basically tested it to see if it fitted into the window, and unfortunately it did not. This one was a bit bigger. I don't know how that works, but it does. So my stepdad said that if you actually just put it on, you can kind of trace it a bit bigger. So kind of measure how big it's going to be and add a few inches onto it. So yeah, I traced it out on top of the MDF, and I added 3 inches all the way around and kind of, drew the lines together. Another way I did it as well is we got some felt that was used for the roof that was left over, and we basically kind of put it on at the top and then drew where the window wall was. And then we cut it out and we used that as a tracing kind of stencil. Now, we actually ended up, I keep saying we, it's mostly me. I ended up cutting like 3 sections in the end instead of one whole big one, because the MDF wouldn't actually stretch it that far. So what I did was I left it as like the middle part would be a separate piece, which would be like a rectangular piece. And then there would be 2 semicircles either side. So I managed to get as much as I could out of the MDF without having to go and get more, basically. So I did that and cut them roughly, and then it was more of a case of kind of trimming them down a little bit at a time just to make sure I didn't cut too much, which I actually did cut too much in the end. There are some gaps around the curve, and it's inevitable because it's just so difficult, especially when you don't have all the right tools. We did actually borrow a circular saw from Mark's brother, so thank you, Dan. Legend. Okay, so I'm currently trying to figure out the bay window seat. Yeah, never done this before, so it's kind of like the first time thing. What I've done is randomly just picked out that I'm going to do a border around the doors that's going to be 10 centimetres wide, so thick. I don't even know what the right dimension is, but yeah, it's going to be 10 centimetres wide. So I'll show you what I've done here. Okay, so as you can see, I've got 10 centimetre strip there, 10 centimetre strip there, and I've got 10 centimetres across the top, 10 centimetres across the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. So I've got 4 strips, 2 long ones and 2 short ones, and they are going to go on here. So across there, all the way up to the wall. Down here will be a little bit different because of that skirting, but all the way across the bottom and up. And what will be left will be the middle piece, which I'll cut into 2, and I'll put door handles and hinges on. So that is what we are planning on doing. And now the doors might need shaving down a little bit because obviously it is, I don't know, we'll see we'll see what it's like. So here I am securing the frames on now. I wish I hadn't used screws. I wish I'd used nails because that's going to be easier to cover. So I messed up a little bit there, but top tip to you, if you're going to do it, use nails, not screws. And here's that little extra piece I was talking about. I had to cut it to fit around the skirting, but an extra block of wood just to fill up the gap. And then there's going to be another little piece that we have to add in as well, just because it doesn't quite reach the wall. And this is the beauty of having an old house with weird shaped walls and everything. So let's see how it looks. Okay, so at some point it was time to fill in some of the gaps. So I got my polyfiller and started doing that. And you can probably see at some point I actually added in a bit of hardboard, boarding out the bottom, if you will. I just thought, you know, we're going to be putting shoes in there. It's going to be really awkward because of those shapes, so we need to board it out. I got around to doing the kind of rectangle in the middle, but I haven't actually done either side yet, so we'll get around to doing that eventually. I've also decided that we're going to put some skirting inside once it's done, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Now, I hadn't even secured down the top parts yet, but I thought if we give it a prime, then it might look a lot more like it should. Okay, so now that it was all primed, I thought it was only right that I got onto making the doors and getting the hinges on. So I had previously already put the hinges on, which I hadn't actually filmed, but I kind of pre-made the holes, lined them all up, got them where I wanted them, and then kind of tidied up all of the doors to try and get them to fit. So this is me basically attaching the doors. I think I ended up only putting 3 up, but still have 2 to do. And also I end up securing the top down at this point. So basically just nailing in the top into the frame. So after I painted the doors, screwed the hinges on and added the door knobs, yeah, basically it was all complete. The only thing we've got left to do is get an upholstery type cushion put on top and some decorative cushions as well. But there you have it, that's the finished product. It's not perfect, but for a first timer, I'm pretty proud. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.